to You Can Do It Too, a podcast highlighting regular folks who followed their dreams and made it happen. I'm Joan Hutchinson, your restaurant maven. I've been described as a risk taker, though I never thought of myself that way. My mom always told me I could do or be whatever I wanted as long as I set my mind to it, and I believed her. I ran a successful catering company that led to owning and operating a top 10 Orange County restaurant and catering venue, prior to earning a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. You know what I learned by going to school after all of that? You don't need a degree to accomplish your dreams. You need drive, passion, and a belief in yourself. You also need some caring folks who support you and believe in you. I didn't need a formula to tell me how to properly staff for a week. I needed common sense and a deep care for creating outstanding dining experiences for my guests. I've been coaching and consulting with salespeople and small business owners for the last few years and blogging with business advice. I just wanted to do more, to reach more of you. I decided to talk with folks I admire, who kick ass at what they do, to show you that you can do it too. All right, welcome. Today, thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I am speaking with Elizabeth Galecke, originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Elizabeth attended college in Austin, Texas, and studied photography. While in Austin, she founded a nonprofit, The Children's Vision, which worked closely with Austin area Candlelighters Childhood Cancer Foundation. There, she combined her photography talents with philanthropic efforts to work with children dealing with life-changing illnesses. In 1995, Elizabeth started a photography business, this time in North Carolina. Once settled, she again combined her love for photography with her commitment to giving back. She worked with several charities, both as a volunteer and a donor, and decided to host her own. She created a Day with the Arts, which earned Make-A-Wish and the MS Society of North Carolina hefty donations. Elizabeth also felt a pull to help support women small business owners. She founded Chicks in Business in North Carolina, a networking and support group, creating a space for friendship and business building in that community. Fast forward to today, Elizabeth made another move, this time to Door County, Wisconsin. She loves to bake, has been doing it all her life, and has built a new business, Galectables, creating tasty treats using local, organic, all-natural ingredients whenever possible. Many are vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free. And she started another women's business support group, Women Entrepreneurs of Door County. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. I am so glad that you agreed to join me today. You've done some amazing stuff with charities. Can you tell us how you got started with that?
Yeah, I think I always, my first study in college was actually child psychology. And I just really knew that in my heart, I wanted to do something that gave back with my career. I didn't really think that I could stay with the psychology major. And so when I learned about this woman in Denver doing this program with children with cancer, I thought, you know what, that blends photography and the giving back. And I went and did a training with her, and it was just kind of my way to blend the two things together once I got into photography instead of the psychology, but it also, brought those two things together. So that's kind of where it launched. And then it just kind of went from there.
I love that. I mean, you combined your love for photography with taking care of kids. It's great. You found a way to combine both of your loves, which is awesome. And then you also combined your love for cooking and baking with your photography talents on several different projects, right?
Correct. One of my favorite little projects I started back when I was in Raleigh was called Click and Cook for Kids. So it was teaching young kids how to do photography while cooking. We kind of did a little blog. We go to farms and we would pick their different ingredients for their cooking class, come back. They would photograph it while they were picking it and, meet the farmers and all that stuff and just kind of start their photo process there. And then while they were cooking, they would document, what they were doing. So it was usually done in pairs, like one, two kids would do a class. Well, it could be more than two kids, but one would do the pictures and one would be doing the baking and one would document what was going on and the other one would bake, and then they'd switch places. So they learned, the kind of lighting and how to kind of, make things look really beautiful in photographs, and then they'd write about it and also do a little blog about it.
Oh my gosh, that is so
Yeah,
cool. I love that. I want to talk a little bit more about it, but we just need to take a really quick break to hear from our sponsors. So don't go away. We're going to be right back. If you're an expert in your field, have a unique story to share, or an interesting point of view, it's time to explore the world of podcasting with Kitcaster. You can expect a completely customized concierge service from our staff of communication experts. Kitcaster is your secret weapon to podcasting for business. Your audience is waiting to hear from you. Go to kitcaster.com/maven to apply for a special offer for friends of this podcast. All right. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Do It Too. Today, I am speaking with Elizabeth Galecke. I almost said Galectables, who is owner of Galectables in Door County. And we were just talking about her combining her photography talents with her love of cooking. And she was telling us about the Click and Cook class that she did.
Correct.
Now, do you have plans to do something like that in Door County?
I do, actually. So I've gotten to know some of my friends' kids over the last couple years, and now that I've got a little bit of a handful of kids that are interested, I'm definitely interested in doing another class. I've been kind of talking to people, and I think I've got a little group, and hopefully before summer,
Awesome.
and probably doing it through NWTC here in Sister Bay.
Nice. So you'd use the kitchen space there at NWTC,
Yeah.
which that's where you work already, right?
Exactly. It's a beautiful commercial kitchen space that I rent, and it's really fun because it's got all the commercial equipment. I don't have to buy it all myself. And for a class, I did an adult cooking class a couple months ago on making ham pies, and it was really fun. And so now I'm kind of missing the kids. I used to work with kids so much, so I started talking to a few people and trying to get some interest in that.
I think it'd be great. I mean, we have a lot of locals here that have kids, but opening it up to the people that come to visit Door County too, it would give maybe tweens or something, give the parents a little bit of time away from their tweens while they're on vacation and give their kids something really cool. It's such a cool idea.
Yeah, we have such great farms up here. So we've got Waseda Farms, which I already, have a great relationship with, so that, we could visit some of these really cool farms that are doing great things. Even Wickman House has their own gardens that they supply their restaurant. And there's so many amazing resources here and really close by. So doing something like that makes it pretty easy to be able to run to a farm in the morning, kind of pick some beautiful vegetables and then come back and cook and do photography.
Love that. And you mentioned Waseda Farms, so you actually sell your products at Waseda Farms, right?
I do. Yeah, they were one of my first people that I talked with. I remember years ago when I first came visiting my parents up here, I saw their ad in the Peninsula Pulse, and I always try to support sustainable farms and doing things without pesticides and organic practices. So I, would go shop there when I used to visit. And then when I moved here, they were the first people I asked because I just felt like their values aligned with mine. And they were super enthusiastic about supporting my business. And they have been ever since I first moved here a couple of years ago. And it's been amazing. So they sell my cookies, they sell my vegetarian and vegan soups, as well as I do vegetarian galettes as well.
Okay, so tell us what a galette is.
A galette is a French pastry. It's an all butter crust filled with delicious, amazing vegetables, sometimes cheeses. I try to use what's local and what's in season, but during the winter, that's not always possible. So then sometimes I just, find what's available and fresh. And but they're really delicious. They're great for a dinner or an appetizer. It also pairs really well with a salad or a soup. So it's just a fun, really delicious treat.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. You're talking about the farm, and it just made me flash on, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of her little flower farm that's on the corner on the triangle there. 180,
Um,
180 petals.
Petals, yeah, Sarah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she does lets you pick your own. That would be
Mm-hmm.
something fun to do with the photography and
It
kids too,
would.
wouldn't it?
Definitely, definitely. My friend Jane also has a flower farm up in Ellison Bay, Lucky Star Flowers, and she has tulips coming in soon. And that's another, she's going to do a pick your own tulips event. So that would be fun too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. How fun is that? So obviously, photography is creative, and you are very creative. So photography, baking. My husband's a chef. He calls himself the talent. Um, tell us more about Collectibles and what you've been up to lately.
Okay. Let's see. So I started when I moved. Well, okay. So Collectibles sort of started when I lived in Raleigh. I used to make these crazy cookies that the first recipe for the rosemary brown butter almond cookies with the rosemary caramel and sea salted edges.
They're so
They
good.
came. Thank you. I found this recipe in a butter ad like 20 years ago, and it was not the recipe it is now. I've definitely developed it into something else. But I just remember opening this magazine and being like, rosemary and cookies. And it seemed I always find that I like things that are really unusual. So, I just kind of tested it that first year just for fun and started, kind of tweaking it year after year and giving them as gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And it always was something on the side that I thought maybe someday I would start this kind of side business. But when I was living in Raleigh and had my photography business, the closest commercial kitchen was like a 30 to 45-minute drive from where I was. And it just wasn't really a good fit. So when I moved here, I just decided, I really love photography, but it's really gotten to be so much more behind the computer with all the digital technology. And I was spending more time sitting down, and I really miss just being out in the world and just being more active. So I just decided when I saw that there's a kitchen here to try to try something new. I feel like I've lived a different life in each city that I've lived in. Like I was, in grade school in Milwaukee, college in Austin, photographer in Raleigh, and now Collectibles in Door County.
Yeah,
Kind of my little chapters of my life.
which is fantastic. I mean, I too have moved across the country. I lived in Vermont.
Yeah.
I moved back in California. I lived in St. Louis. Now I'm here in Door County. Um, did you move when you were a kid? My family never moved. I lived in the same house from the time I was born until I moved out when I was 18.
Wow.
Did your family and my sibling? I have a sister who actually still lives in the house that we grew up in. So
Cool.
I'm the only one who lives out of state. I'm the youngest of many kids, the youngest of 8.
Wow.
And they stay put. Actually, they moved when they were little. They were all born in Detroit area, and I'm the only one that was born in California. And now I'm the only one who doesn't live in California. But did you guys move a lot when you were a kid? Was it something you were used to?
Yeah, no, just we lived in Milwaukee until I graduated 8th grade. I still remember the day that my parents told us we were moving to Dallas, Texas, of all places. Like I remember I had brought one of my best friend from home from school. My parents told us to come home. They had a meeting that they were planning that day, and she was hiding under my bed. Because they told us that we were going to move to Dallas. And I remember just being devastated. And she came out from under her bed and we cried. And, I think I cried the whole summer because we moved to Dallas the beginning of the summer between my eighth grade and freshman year, which was just kind of torture. I was the oldest of three kids. My mom was super protective of me, and it just was a hard year. But then after that, I think I learned a resilience of something about adapting to new places. So that was the only time I moved as a kid. But then 4 years later, I moved to Austin to go to college, and I really loved Austin, and it was such an eye-opening place for me. It was very, the college I went to had kids from all over the world. One of my photography student friends was from Kuwait. I had friends from Mexico. Like, it was just this really beautiful awakening, of just all these cultures. So I think that kind of started to drive me of okay, where could I live next? And so that's after, I went to college, and then I started kind of like those little rumblings again, okay, I've loved Austin. I've had amazing college experience, lived there for a couple of years, and now I'm ready to start my business. And I think I want to start in a place that is growing, and I want to grow with it. And at that time, I had never visited the East Coast of, I didn't really, not the East Coast, like Southeast Coast. And I'd heard little things about Raleigh and how it was just this kind of neat town that was growing. And there's Chapel Hill and Durham and the mountains and the beach, and it was still close to DC. And so I took a road trip out with my then boyfriend, and we just, kind of were looking at different places along the way. And I just fell in love with Raleigh, and it was just such a good choice. It really was growing, and I got to grow with it. And, like my photography business was the perfect time to start it. It was still when film was, medium format film and a big camera and dark room. And I did specialize in black and white and just loved working with people. And I got to see these kids start, photograph them from the time they were babies to the time that they, got married. If 30 years, you get to see all these people grow in, different stages of their life. So it was beautiful.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
North Carolina, right in that area. That's supposed to be just such a hip place to be. And it wasn't when you got there, huh? Is that what you're saying? You saw that it was starting?
It was really sweet. It was just, and now it's gotten huge. It's really big and it's growing, and, they're taking down the old, parts of the city. And I watch Facebook, and my friends are frustrated with the growth and just, the cool buildings that they're tearing down. And I think it just was the right time. I think I was going through that gypsy phase again, okay, I'm ready for, I think being an artist, you live in a city, and you start to want to see other things and a different landscape. Moving to Door County at this time in my life, it's just been beautiful, seeing the different seasons, and it's been amazing.
What was it that made you decide it was time to leave North Carolina?
I think the photography was starting to just not feel like it was a passion the way it used to be. And I had met I was dating my now husband, and we were trying to figure out hey, maybe we should start somewhere together. And we were thinking, I had a house, he had a condo. Would we sell both of our places and move somewhere in Raleigh? And we just felt like if we're going to start our life, let's just do it somewhere new and just try something completely, different, and, start over fresh somewhere. And so we were thinking, I found this really cool city or town in England, and we were daydreaming about that. And then we came to visit my parents here in Door County. They would live here for the summers. And I was like, this is I'd been coming up for years, but at that moment, he and I were like, this is all the things that we want. We want to live with a little bit of property. We want to be able to still be close to funky little restaurants and art and music and all these things that we were kind of dreaming about in Europe. But this is where my family is, and all my relatives, so many of my relatives are in Upper Michigan and Milwaukee, and friends from grade school that I still keep in touch with. And it was a really fun kind of full.
Did you know you can get specialty cheeses shipped right to your door? Go to doorartisancheese.com and peruse their selection of small batch, handcrafted, cave aged cheese. My favorite is the Valmy. It's a beer washed Gouda that's been aged for several months in their caves. Most delicious. So try Door Artisan Cheese. Get it sent right to your door by going to doorartisanccheese.com.
Circle to kind of come back and be close to everybody. And he, like, it was so, I mean, he grew up in the South and lived there his pretty much his whole life. And he was like, let's do this. Like, that weekend we decided, then we started house hunting, found our house. And by the next spring we were living here.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's like a kindred spirit, huh? Both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
You seem to have so much faith in yourself, just going for what you want and love. Where did that come from? Was it in you all the time? Where did that come from?
I think I have a really amazing support system of friends and family. I've really learned to really depend on my friends and brainstorm. And I've had these really great mentors, especially the last, before I decided to move here, before I even met my now husband, I was going through some big changes in my life with a divorce and just really hard thing going through that, and had some really close friends who were both coaches that really helped me learn this dream building, and just have faith and in trusting that when you really have passion in something, that if you just keep following it and you just keep thinking positive and you just put your energy into it, that you can succeed. It's not always easy, but it definitely has worked for me, for sure. Just kind of just putting myself out there and just being vulnerable and just trying and working really hard too.
Right. I like how you said that you have friends that you lean on. That's something that I was talking about with Emily, who we just talked on Sunday. Um, that she said she was talking about hiking, saying that it is this solo thing that you do, and it all depends on you and your efforts, but you also have to learn to trust others and
For
depend
sure.
on others. So it's the same kind of message you just gave.
Yeah, and I remember one of my friends telling me back years ago when I was, going through this hard time. This is the thing that I'll never forget. She said, "How do you feel when you help other people?" Because I always want to be the one helping. And I said, "I feel really good." And she's like, "Well, let people do that for you." And I think that's something as women we all need to learn to do. And I've tried to relay that to other friends as well, because I feel like we try to do it all, and we need to build a community and to kind of give and receive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I have five sisters and two brothers, so strong women household. My father died when I was 3, and my mom was a very independent woman. You wouldn't really know it because of the way she presented herself, but she did what she wanted and didn't let things get in the way. And she took care of what needed to be taken care of. And
Wow.
however she had to do it. One of my favorite stories is our refrigerator died. We needed a new refrigerator. So she went to Sears, and this was in the 70s, in the early 70s. She went to Sears and filled out the credit app so she could get the refrigerator, and they denied her the credit. So she
Mm.
came home and filled that credit app out with my dead father's information, went back to Sears, and they gave my dead father the loan to pay for this refrigerator. you know,
Wow.
I she taught me you've got to be creative. You got to figure it out. You can do it. If you need it,
Yeah.
you can figure out
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that all of us girls kind of learn to make stuff happen, make our lives happen, and help other people. But we forget sometimes, we all do. And I have a great family. All of my siblings are so supportive and lovely. I am the youngest. They're all terrific to me
Oh,
and to each other. We're incredibly lucky. Um, but sometimes we forget that we're all there for each other, you know? And
mm-hmm.
humanity is here for us. We just have to let them be. Sometimes that's a hard lesson to learn because we don't want to let anybody know that we're having a hard time, or we don't want to
Yeah.
let anybody know that we need help. Um, and
And I think that's so important too. Like, I think, I think our generation, we're supposed to be strong and, resilient, which I feel like we are. But then it also means like a lot of times we kind of put up this wall and we, don't want to say like, hey, I'm going through this and I need help or I'm struggling or whatever. And I think, if we just are honest with each other and, honest with ourselves too.
right, right, and you obviously believe strongly in that because you've created these
Mhm.
women business owners groups in two places that you live, and it's always so welcome. I think everyone is excited that you've started that here in Door County. Um, was definitely a need that needed to be filled, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. It's we have such a great community of small businesses up here, and but we're also, we've all been through this weird couple years of COVID and being alone, and so I think right now it's just been a really good time for all of us to kind of come together and how do we collaborate and how do we support each other and kind of get out of, move from this, you know, this pandemic into like all of us being more successful and
Mhm.
finding ways to really work together.
Yeah, I think there's a couple lessons that the world as a whole learned during COVID. Um, the number one being it sucks being alone and all by yourself, you know?
Yeah, it can be really hard.
There's a lot of people that are still struggling because of being forced to be alone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, we humans were not made to be alone. So
Yeah, yeah.
so we definitely learned that and the importance of living your life to the fullest. And I think on your website you say that, live life to the fullest, right?
I mean, I was thinking about it when I don't know, I guess when we were just emailing yesterday, I think that has been a mantra of mine for a really long time. And I know, a lot of people just kind of throw it out there, but I have had, I think because I've lived in so many places and had some really, really strong friendships and lost some really close people to me way too early that I feel like I just feel really grateful for every day. And I feel like I kind of live my life as a way of like, I don't know the right words, but just because those friends didn't get those days that I get, I have to live them for them in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So I mean, it's just a constant reminder of like, when you have a bad day, like, okay, it's just a bad day. It's nothing, that I can't get through. And I've seen people get through, or not get through things. And I have the gift of being able to like be resilient and get through another day and keep moving. And enjoy life. And I just feel like it's really important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. One of my sisters is turning 60 this year. And she decided to have a party on Memorial Day, which is not great for someone in hospitality to be gone for. But she says, "Can you make it?" And she said, because we lost one of our sisters a few years ago, and she
So
says,
sorry.
I don't know. We don't know how long we're going to be around, so I want to celebrate. And I agree. That's the other thing that COVID taught us. Let's make sure that
Yes.
we spend time with the people that we love, because that's what's important. It's not what you have, it's
Mm-hmm.
who you've loved and how you've loved, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of like the working and finding. I think for me, working every day in a career that I love instead of just trying to make money. I mean, I don't want to live my life just unhappy because I'm, sitting at a desk and miserable at what I'm doing. I mean, I might not have as much money as some people who do that job, but I feel like my day to day, I'm a lot happier, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. I am too. I'm grateful for that for you as well, because you are an inspiration to us. I love the courage that you've had to take these risks and make your life what you want it to be.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. I mean, I feel like, I mean, I have so many ideas going forward for the next couple of years. Like, I feel like this next chapter, there's so much potential, and there's so many different things I get to do. And every day I kind of wake up and I think about like, wow, like I have a whole new career. And I had a friend that helped me kind of get to this point. Another, these couple friends in Raleigh that were, helping me brainstorm and dream. And it's just like I wrote about what's happening right now before I knew it was even going to happen. And it's pretty amazing.
Nice.
And yeah, and it's just like I keep writing things down, and then and then one by one, I'm, kind of, they're starting to happen, and it's really exciting, and it's a really energizing feeling to just dream and be able to do things that you love every day.
I love that. And you put it out there, and then you're going to trust that it's going to find its way to you, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So, what advice could you give to someone who is thinking about a change, a life change? What advice would you give them?
I would say, I mean, the thing that helped me the most was really dreaming about, I mean, this is what I was taught, like to dream as if there were like all the things that you are afraid of, they're not even there. You just, write down like you're a 5-year-old, and you're not worried about, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or I don't have, the education. You just like think about what you want to do, and then and one by one figure out how to make that happen. And it's not something that's going to happen in one day, and to be patient and to do it because it's worth it. And if you don't, then you're going to look back at your life in 20 years and think, well, what did I do with my life, instead of, I really got to do every day what I love, and I'm, much happier for it.
Great. I love that. So, you 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 put it in a dream vision, like you try and envision it, and then
Yes.
you figure out, you take some action, right? Take some daily
Mm-hmm.
small steps, because one foot in front of the other will get you all the way across the floor. Is that what the ice monster said? Is
Exactly.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And that's what it is. One foot in front of the other. That's all it is. It's just, yeah, check marks, checklists, and just doing your research, and
Go for
having the,
it.
and believing in in yourself. And it's hard. I mean, I definitely, I feel like I've heard you say you don't have to have, a college degree, and I did not go to culinary school. And, I definitely have doubts, and I'm definitely, um, get nervous about, will people like this, or will they think that I don't have enough experience or whatever. And I definitely, just struggle with that sometimes. But I don't know. I listen to inspirational people and I listen to their stories. And I mean, I feel like I've learned so much from other people's stories, and it's inspired me to be like, oh my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. And so if I'm that person for someone else, like if I can do it, you can do it. Like, hell yeah.
Heck yeah, hells to the yeah. I like that. You are, with that's what. Okay, so why am I doing this podcast? Because it's important to me that everyone knows that we all have it in us to succeed. So my guests weren't born into royalty. They're normal people like you and me who saw an opportunity and ran with it. So we can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. You have so much info to share, and people need to visit Wasita Farms and all the other places that, where else are you? Clario Pasta.
Pasta in Sturgeon Bay. I'm going to be at Zeke's Market in Sister Bay. I'm at 1211 Wine Bar in Sister Bay. This summer, I just talked to the owner at Bearded Heart Coffee Shop, and she's going to have some of my cookies there in Bailey's Harbor. So I'm kind of really trying. And then I also do some pop-ups and different things as well. So definitely watch my Instagram is definitely the place to kind of pay attention to for all the different places I'm jumping around to.
Okay. All right. And we will share that info in the notes and make sure that people know how to find you. So thank you. Thank to all my listeners for joining us today. Thank you to Chris Hutchinson for taking care of editing and my sponsors. We look forward to the next Sunday. So remember, You Can Do It Too comes every other Sunday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe.